Issey Miyake has always been revered for his innovation and sustainability, but how does the reputation of the designer and his eponymous label hold up materially? For context, Issey Miyake was a Japanese artist and designer whose approach to fashion can be described as highly conceptual, technologically experimental, and playful. The brand has always fused these qualities with inspiration from traditional Japanese fabrics, designs, and ways of dressing. Above all else, Issey Miyake is fundamentally concerned with the relationship between the clothing and the body that wears it. Though the brand has always employed creative uses of low-waist cutting techniques, as well as natural, recycled, and repurposed fabrics, the area for which they have received the most acclaim is in the development of their synthetic materials, which they utilize more than anything else. These synthetic materials are of course not quite eco-conscious, but they do serve to execute Miyake's personal philosophy for the brand, one of simplicity, adaptability, durability, and convenience. One that believes clothing should not be bound by the constraints of time, age, weather, size, or even context. One that promotes the idea that we should have evolving, lifelong relationships with our clothes. As we know, nothing is more sustainable than wearing the clothes you already own, and many credit the creations of Issey Miyake as trailblazing in this regard. What I want to investigate, however, is whether or not the philosophy of longevity is enough to mitigate the environmental impact of synthetic materials. In their quest to innovate the fashion of the future, the brand has experimented with a number of different materials, some previously unthought of as useful in the fashion industry. In terms of natural, recycled, or repurposed fabrics, this has included paper, rubber, bamboo, plastic bottle tops, rattan, egg cartons, metal, glass, jute, mosquito netting, pineapple fiber, mud-dyed and sun-dried cotton, rice bags, fishing line, and handmade Japanese paper. In 2010, after Miyake himself stepped down from helming the brand, they launched their 1325 line, which utilizes only recycled polyester and polyethylene terephthalate, made from plastic bottles collected from local industries, which are then blended with natural and plant-based synthetic fibers to create a new fiber altogether. This fabric is used to create a single multi-purpose piece of cloth, which can be easily transformed. Inspired by origami, when the cloth is pulled up vertically, it transforms into a three-dimensional piece that can be folded or manipulated in 10 basic ways, which allow for the object to serve as 29 different pieces of clothing, including blouses, skirts, trousers, and dresses. Implementing this kind of modularity and transformability in our closets would be a total game changer. We could drastically reduce the amount of clothes we buy and own without having to sacrifice our need for different garments that work for different contexts or our desire to experiment with our looks. It is the synthetic nature of the material that allows for the malleability that makes these kinds of transformations possible. In Miyake's own words, he believes it's important to make clothes for long-term use now, not just one season. We can't keep throwing things away. We see this philosophy implemented in the brand's two most popular creations, the Pleats Please and APOC lines. Pleats Please, which was introduced as its own subsection of the brand in 1994, also utilizes synthetics in a way that actually promotes longevity and the minimization of clothing waste. The iconic garments approach pleating in a revolutionary way. Whereas this technique would historically include pleating the fabric and then cutting it into the desired shape, Miyake's technique differs. It involves taking excess fabric, constructing the garment, and then pleating it afterwards. It is intentionally cut in a way that reduces fabric waste and promotes labor and resource conservation. They are made from 100% polyester, which we may immediately dismiss as environmentally unfriendly, but this allows for each piece to be machine washable, conveniently compact, and packable while holding their shape so that they are essentially always ready to wear. They are made with the intention of readapting to the shape of the body throughout the wearer's entire life. They are timeless, genderless, they are expanding rather than size-constricting, they are not specific to weather or context. They are designed with simplicity, comfortability, practicality, and adaptability at the forefront, which promotes lifelong use. We see this sentiment repeated in the APOC collection, which has been called a radical rethink of fashion manufacture for the 21st century. Announced in 1998, the line was designed to highlight the two-dimensional quality of cloth and minimize waste. The garments are produced in machine-made rolls of stretchy knit fabric comprised of cotton, nylon, and polyurethane, which is pre-sewn or fused with finished patterns, which the user can then cut from the roll with scissors to create a ready-made customized garment, where they get to determine the specifications and components of the piece with minimal fabric waste. In addition to reducing excess fabric, this system also eliminates unnecessary additions such as buttons and zippers. Miyake argues that the basis for clothing design lies in a piece of cloth, which no fashion or trend can alter, and that people have become consumers. They forgot the ways they can participate in their clothing. APOC does that. This is a wonderful thought, but unfortunately the interactive component of this was mostly conceptual, running at exhibitions like the one in Paris in 2000. Yoshiyuki Miyame, current leader of the APOC division, has spoken about the importance of maintaining sustainable craftsmanship by not outsourcing production to factories where the working conditions are poor, simply to attain cheap labor, stating that the brand is committed to promoting quality and sustainability by partnering with the same factory for prolonged periods of time, at least 5 to 10 years. He aims to continue the legacy of the brand by designing clothing with materials that foreground longevity and modularity, and keeping ideas simple and similar over years rather than constantly reinventing and rapidly pumping out collections which promote trend cycles. Satoshi Kondo, the current creative director, plans to carry forward the brand's enduring principles by not wasting fabric, using it to its full potential, and prioritizing wearability and durability, and continuing to imbue their products with Miyake's central belief of play, taking the trend cycle less seriously and living life a multitude of ways with as few pieces as possible. Despite these innovative ideas around fabric manipulation, modularity, and waste reduction, we cannot write off the environmental consequences of the synthetic materials that drive the brand's experimentations. Though polyester is easy to recycle, it is made of non-renewable petrochemicals which contribute to long-term pollution. The blend of nylon and polyester, which comprises the majority of the garments we have just discussed, can take up to 40 years to decompose if not discarded properly. Polyester also requires massive amounts of water to process, and typically large amounts of dyes which include deeply harmful chemicals like carcinogens. They also shed microfibers with each wash, which, when released back into the water, can concentrate dangerous toxins within the water and inevitably within wildlife and humans. It is said that polyester on its own can take anywhere from 20 to 200 years to decompose and release an estimated 496,030 microfibers per 6 kilogram wash. Though the brand has been praised for their conceptual approach to reusable materials and excess minimization, there is a disparity between this and concrete action towards critical sustainability goals. Panaprium and Good On You both report that the Issey Miyake brand has published no definitive data about any efforts to reduce carbon or greenhouse gas emissions, implement water or chemical reduction initiatives, or promote ethical labor standards. Any article you seek out on Issey Miyake will describe the brand and its creator as revolutionarily sustainable, holistically egalitarian, and humble about it. However, when it comes to concrete evidence of science-based initiatives to tackle the harmful realities of large-scale fashion production, they lag severely behind. While their vague business practices and the ecological disadvantages of their synthetic materials are undeniable, their philosophy of designing clothes with the intention of lifelong use is admirable. If Issey Miyake and their fashion industry peers continue to experiment with ideas such as these while integrating more regular use of environmentally friendly materials like cotton, linen, or recycled fabrics, it could move us out of an era of societal overconsumption and towards an interest in modularity and multipurposeness. I find Miyake's personal ethos really inspiring and inviting, and I am a huge fan of a lot of the brand's creations over time. I find them exceptionally creative, uniquely identifiable, and exciting. I would love to see them put their technological skills and fabric manipulation expertise to work with definitively sustainable business practices. Thank you for listening and for letting me share this interest with you.